So the biggest moment in my wood turning career is finally here. Stay tuned. Now please allow me, before we dive into the fun stuff of revealing my first signature tool and also the second one, which you really don't want to miss, is to go through some of the technical stuff first out of the way real quick. I won't bother you with this for too long. So the big decision that I made is sort of a time saving aspect and also to have a little bit more consistency in the future, and that is I let Crown put together the handles and the blade together on all of my tools. So what that means is I have one step less to worry about, and they will do it much faster and much more consistent quality, let's say. Now, depending on which sharpening option you went for, so either grinder burr or pull burr or factory edge, I still will be polishing up the tools, getting the final shape on the profile just the way I use a refiner, and also sharpening again to grinder or pull burr. So all of these steps I'll be doing myself. Like I said, I'll let the Crown put the tool together because it's a lot more consistent and better quality, and also it's a big time saving step for me. So in this first batch I have available 30 refiners and also materials to make 30 burnishers. And burnishers I'll make by myself, so I'll turn the handle, I'll finish up the handle and put the tool together. And what will happen after the first batch is sold out, you're going to see a status underneath the product, and it will say that the tool is on back order. So what that means is you still will be able to buy the tool, but once the tools are actually in stock, then I'll finish up orders in order of buying. So I'm not sure how fast or slow these will sold out, and what I've done sort of upfront notified Ed from Crown, which this way I want to thank you, Ed, and Charlotte as well, for making this possible. So I notified him just in case if these sold out quickly, so they need to know to make more of these, and they have sort of my name on the schedule, let's say, just in case. So the next batch should be relatively quickly. Now usually I can prep, polish and sharpen tools relatively fast, but as a one-man shop, and if the sheer volume of orders are in at the same time, after the payment is through, please allow up to 5 working days for me to complete the tools and everything. So please have understanding on that part as a one-man shop. And I know it's a little bit more time involving process than just picking up a tool from the shelf, but I think it's a much more personal and much better experience once you have the tool ready to be used straight out of the package. Now the last thing is that I need to mention, and that is a payment method. Now for now at least, the only payment method will be direct bank transfer. So at least for now, as I've said, this will be the only payment method. So the way this works is actually quite simple, and it's been done for years. So you can either pay in your bank or you can pay through your bank app on your phone. So I need to mention that all the prices are in euros, and your invoice will be in euros. That's my currency in Croatia. And it's pretty straightforward for the countries that use euro as a currency. Now, I understand that most of my viewers are from United States, but there is an option when you're going to pay either in bank or through your app, and that is to choose the currency you're going to pay or that your invoice is in. So once you type in all the bank details from me, you should be able to have an option to pay either in US dollars, let's say, or in euros or any other currency. Now, maybe for some reason you maybe don't have that option of choosing the currency that you're going to pay. So if you don't have that option, you're going to send me an email with your order number, and then I'll send you back in your currency how much to pay. So it's a pretty straightforward. Again, for now at least, it's the only payment option. So be aware the prices again are in euros, and just be aware when you're going through the website and placing your order. So now hopefully you're not asleep just yet, and now we can dive into the new refiner and let me show you all the features and how to get the most out of it. So first let me start with the Burnisher here. It's a pretty straightforward tool, and I'll be making the handles, fitting the ferrules, fitting the rods here, and for now at least it will be in ash and sapele mahogany color like this, or type of wood. Now if you remember, prior to this design it had bead here. Now with over time, with use and everything, I did not like how that bead was feeling in my hand, so this is much more comfortable, and this is the one that you will be getting. So the rods here are 10 mil diameter, M42 steel, so it has to be stronger than the scraper itself, which is M2 cryogenic steel, and we'll get to that. So it's again pretty straightforward tool, and I'll be making, as you see here, and finishing up and everything. Now for the finish here, what I'll use is the hard wax oil, so it's a little bit more durable than just a regular oil. But if you want to finish, you can always jam chuck the rod here or grip it in a chuck, and you can sand the handle if you want to refinish with any of your finishing methods. So yeah, it's a pretty straightforward tool. And now let's go to star of the show. And I cannot believe that this moment has actually come, and that this is my first signature tool, a refiner scraper. And the one in the package here is what I call factory edge, and I'll explain that a little bit more in just a few seconds. And the one on the outside is what I call either grinder burr or pull burr. Now there are two major differences from the last prototype on the new one. So this one here is one of the last prototypes, and you saw this refiner in most of my videos. Now, like I said, two key differences. So the signature on the last prototype was in the middle here, so we moved that to ferrule here, as you saw. And the second one is, the big one, is the round over here. So on the one of the last prototypes it had slightly smaller, as you can see, round over, and this one here has much bigger round over, so it's much more comfortable to roll into shear scraping mode. And also I had many questions asking why there is a round over on this side here. So if you envision, this one is mostly for from right to left scraping due to the shape here, but you can change this profile, reverse it, and have it this way. So you would use maybe on the other side or something like that, or you can change this scraper to spear point, as I know it's an option as well. And I gave you an option that you have two round overs here, so you don't have to do it by yourself, and it's much easier to roll the tool around. So those are the two big differences in terms of design of the tool itself. Now if you choose an option on my website to go with a factory edge, so what you'll get is straight from the factory refiner, and it's not ready to be used straight from the package as the other two options. So and there is another difference, and there is no notch here, and also the profile is ever so slightly different. And if I compare it to this one, this is on the right grinder or pull burr option, and you can see this one here is a little bit more rounded over. So if you want to convert a scraper like this one to, like I said, spear point or any other profile, you can order this one here and do the shape just the way you like it. So again, this one here on the right is grinder burr option or pull burr option, and this is the edge or the profile that I'm using constantly with a notch here, and you have the burr, and the tool will be ready to be used straight out of the package. So now I did mention that the new refiner scraper is slightly more polished straight from the factory than the old prototype, and it's mostly cost saving measure for me, because the first step that I do after I take the scraper out of the package to prepare for the grinder burr or pull burr option is I grab a sheet of this 400 sandpaper and place it on a flat surface like this on the lathe bed and turn it upside down. The bottom doesn't have to be polished like that, and the sides are polished enough, but the top is where we have the burr. So what I like to do is give it a 20 seconds to 20-30 seconds, keep it nice and flat, and polish it up a little bit. You can use 600, it's okay as well. I wouldn't go any finer than that. doesn't really have to be mirror shine or uniform, let's say, texture all the way here. So as you saw, I only polished up maybe 1/3 of the length of the blade, and as you wear it down, and also you'll polish up the rest of it here. Why I do this? So first thing is I always remove the old burr when I go to sharpen it or pull the next burr, let's say. So let's say the grinder burr is wear down, so I need to pull the burr, let's say. So I will go again this step, turn it upside down, and just rub just 1 or 2 seconds just to remove the remnants of the old burr, and then I would pull it up, and I'll show you that in just a few seconds. And also if I go to the grinder, I would also remove any remnants of the old burr, so also flipping it upside down 1 or 2 seconds, and then I'll go to a grinder. It will make a huge difference how the scraper will perform and how your burr will perform. So I'll doing all those steps for you in the grinder or pull burr option, so your scraper will be ready to be used straight from the package. So now I'm at my grinder station here with 180 grit CBN wheel on the right and 80 grit CBN wheel on the left. So the step after polishing up this top area is to get a little bit more refined shape on the profile here on the scraper. So if you remember, the factory edge is slightly more curved. I flattened this ever so slightly. It's still at an angle, but I flatten it a little bit. Now, in the future, like I said in my last update video on the refiner, what I'll probably do is sort of give you maybe a PDF file to download, or maybe even sell some of the templates of the original shape like this. But what I recommend that you do after you use it, and once you remove the or wear out the grinder burr or pull burr option, whichever you choose, I recommend that you flip it over on a piece of paper or maybe even on a thin MDF or plywood, and just mark this shape and cut it out, and you can use it as a template to gauge this profile here. But if the profile slightly changes, like on the factory edge, it doesn't really matter, it will still perform. But this is just something that I use most of the time. And again, if I have a situation where I need to have a little bit more curve, then I would just reshape it a little bit. It doesn't take too long. So, and the bevel angle here is 45 degrees. I do recommend that you keep it at 45 degrees. Now you can experiment for yourself to change a different angle and see how that works for you, but I like 45 degrees, and it's the best of holding the in terms of holding the edge longer, and also to give it a nice surface on the wood. So the grinder burr on the 180 grit CBN wheel, you can use a white wheel if you have, or any other wheels that you use, and I have a separate video on the differences between each grit and different type of wheel, but this one works really the best for me. So I keep it flat on top of the tool rest, and in the future I will get myself another tool rest to have it set on this angle to just speed things up a little bit, so I don't have to change this angle here. So I keep it nice and flat on the top of the tool rest. Find the bevel. I first touch the heel of the bevel and then raise the handle until I meet the top here, and roll it around. And I don't go past, this is vertical or perpendicular line to the wheel, I don't go further than that. I stop actually a little bit short than that. So this is now with a nice burr on top here, nice sharp burr, and that's what I call grinder burr. With wearing down the tool and sharpening, you will remove the notch here. So the way I put it on is use the corner of the wheel. You can use the CBN wheel. I don't have on this 80 grit the side grit. So I use this white wheel here and I keep it around 45 degrees. Doesn't really matter all that much, this angle here, this one. So I keep it roughly at 45 degrees to the wheel, and a little bit more, and that's it. So this is what you will get as a grinder burr. So the burr here is done, as you saw, with a grinder, and you'll get this a little notch, so you get around this round over and you have this sharp corner, and also this will help you out shear scraping into, let's say, bottom of the bead or any other detail. So let's see how this one performs on the lathe. We're now at the lathe here, and this is a nice chunk of maple, and what I've done is just mark the center of the ball here, and I can bring that out like so. So that's our center line. So I position the tool rest, so when I place the scraper on top of it and raising the handle so it's a little bit higher than the cutting edge here, and I have a separate video on that, I'm at the center height or slightly above it. So I want to be in that area. I don't want to be really low down. So that's my preferred position. For this piece, the speed is around 1500 RPM. You turn at the speed you are comfortable with. Now scrapers, standard scrapers and negative rate scrapers as well do like a little bit more speed than just keeping it really slow. So if you're not comfortable, then again turn at the speed you are comfortable with. So light pressure, you can see that works really lovely and feels really good. And I'll show you at the end the surface at the hopefully better light. So this notch here can be used to make a decoration like this, and we can shear scrape into that corner, leaving all this area nice and clean like so. Maybe even put another like this, so you can see how you can make details really fast. So now I'm here at the side, and it's not the best surface, I just rough it out. So what I'll do here is just make a straight in for the foot, let's say, and here on the side grain, if you're just starting out using scraper, standard scraper, grinder burr is preferred option that I would recommend. Pull burr, as you'll see later, will give you maybe better finish, but it can be a little bit more grabby. Even if you're not comfortable using standard scraper, it can be a little bit intimidating, let's say, because it can, like I said, grab on occasion, especially when you're on a pure end grain, side grain portion on the side of the ball. So here I'm using light pressure. You get a lot of big shavings, but also fine dust on the scraper. So first I'll just rough it out so I get more pleasing shape. So it all depends on how much pressure you use, and now I'll just go very lightly. Basically I don't want to touch the wood with the scraper, so you get all of this. Again, I'm trying not to touch the timber with the scraper to get these lovely shavings. And also make sure that you are relatively close with the tool rest, so you don't want to be this far out. So this is here in the middle, around 10 mil. And I'll show you this a little further out. Just a light, really light pressure, and you're getting fine shavings, wispy shavings, angel hair, but also a lot of dust, fine particles of dust. That way you know that you are scraping cleanly. So that's using the scraper flat, and as you saw what I was mentioning about how to position the handle. So this is flat, raise it up a couple of degrees, and you want the top of the scraper and the surface you are scraping to be less than 90 degrees. So all in all, the surface is really good. There is one patch here, a little rough, so we'll go one more time lightly. Important thing to note, the standard scrapers, the burr will last you longer than negative rig scraper, but don't overdo it. Don't overuse grinder burr, let's say, or with the honing burr. Don't overuse it because it will diminish the surface quality as you're moving on. So that's really good, nice and clean, and try to show you this at a different angle. So hopefully you can see the side of the bowl is nicely scraped, nice and clean, and that's using it flat, so I can still shear scrape, and I'll show you that with the pull burr. And also let me show you the bottom here. So this area of the side grain, pure side grain portion on the bottom of the bowl, or let's say on the top, is something that scraper really likes if you're using it properly. So hopefully you can see how clean the surface is. This will sand out immediately basically, and all the details here really nice and clean, crisp. So let me show you what I would do once the grinder burr is gone. So what I always do after the grinder burr is gone, I would grab 400 grit sandpaper, a well used one, or 600 grit, place it again on the flat surface, and I have this on underneath my bench grinder, and turn it upside down. And as I've said a few minutes ago, I always do this step before sharpening or putting on the fresh burr. So just a few rubs, it doesn't take too much, just to remove any remnants of the old burr. So how you use burnisher and how you pull the burr, fresh burr on. Now let me show you what I consider is pulled burr option on my website for you to choose. So you saw me using grinder burr on the bowl right now, and it's a great, and I use it all the time, and it is slightly less durable because again it's a braided burr that is on the top of the scraper here, but it's more user friendly. And if you're just starting out using standard scrapers, I highly recommend that you stick to grinder burr or using a diamond hone. It's far more forgiving. Now pull burr, you saw me remove the remnants of the grinder burr on top here, and the bevel here is nice and sharp, so the edge here is nice and sharp. So what I'm using now my burnishing for is, or you can use any other steel that's harder than the steel of the scraper itself, I'm rolling that edge, nice sharp edge, into sort of a hook that will stick like this, exaggerated of course, or burr, if you want to call it burr or hook, I call it both ways. And this is far more durable because it's a rolled edge of steel instead of a braided burr on top. So it's a rolled edge of steel, and again it's far more durable. It will give you a slightly better surface on the wood, but it has a big downside, and that is if you roll it too big or too strong, it will be too grabby. So in most cases you won't be able to control it properly to get a proper surface. So what I recommend is the way I'm using, let's say, my burnisher, and I first keeping it nice and flat. Be aware that this is nice sharp and you have nice sharp corners, so you don't want to slip your fingers onto this edge. So use common sense and position your fingers away so you don't slip and cut yourself. So place it flat on the scraper. So what I want to do is now extend a little bit of microscopic steel out of the top here. Let's say extend the top further than the bevel here. So placing it nice and flat and give it a few rubs. I'm keeping it nice and flat, and of course with the weight of my hand and the handle here, it will sort of navigate more towards the right side of the pressure, which is what you want. So just a few rubs like this, and what I like to do is find the bevel like this and then raise it. You can see a daylight maybe underneath the very bottom of the bevel, and so that's 1 or 2 degrees, not even maybe that. So I find the bevel, raise it up, and I go from the bottom here, and I always pull up, I never pull down. So find the bevel, raise it up a little bit, 1, 2. So that's all you need for a nice sharp burr, pulled burr that won't be as grabby. And you can think of this as your sort of fingernails. If you have it too big, then it's brittle and it can break off easily. Instead of like nice short nails, they are far more durable, let's say. Again, all the principle applies for the standard scraper, how to use it. So handle has to be raised slightly, and the surface I'm scraping and top of the tool needs to be less than 90 degrees. So I want to remove the remnants of this detail here. The vibration is coming from uneven top on the screw chuck here. So you can see it can be quite aggressive and remove a lot of wood, but also if you're caution enough to have it nice light touch, it will give you nice clean surface. And again, we can use the corner to make a detail like so. There's a little knob here, and I can use the longer point of the scraper just to clean this area a little bit. So that's the bottom done, and I'll show you at the end how it looks. So now let's go to the side, and I'll pull you out further so you can see again how it's used. So again, I'm lifting the handle higher and nice light touch. And I'm moving my body around. And I hope you can hear how it's whistling, sort of. So I'm not using a lot of pressure, especially here on the side. You really want to be basically not touching the wood. So you can see how it removes the timber really fast. So quickly let me show you the surface here. Using the scraper flat on the tool rest with the pull burr. It's really nice and clean, and I'll show you closer once we shear scrape. So we can always improve the surface of the scraper when using it flat by tilting it up on the side. So if this is 0, this is 90, this is 0, I keep it at around 45 degrees, and I keep the handle nice and flat up against my body. Let me show you here what happens when we keep the scraper flat. So you can see how it sort of, as Jimmy Clue says, roll the carpet. You can see how it looks. But if we shear scrape by tilting up on the side, in the same area you'll see much tighter, extremely tight coil, and that's the big difference. So the way I shear scrape, I like to move away from the foot, in this case like this, using flat, and then tilting up on the side around 45 degrees, keeping the handle nice and close up against my body, and I move in small measures, small increments. You can see how the edge here, how the shavings and everything dust comes off really fast. And hopefully you can see a slight difference in color using the flat and here where it's basically shear cutting the surface. And I'm using light touch and small motions. I hope you can hear as well how little of the pressure I'm using. So now that's really nice and refined surface. A little hiccup here. There we go. So that's now nice and clean, and let me show you all the surface. Nice and clean, and I'll show you all of this one more time once I get the ball off the lathe. So I hope you can see the bottom here on the pure side grain where the scraper is. That's his most like area, let's say. How it has nice little shine to it, really nice surface. All the detail is nice and clean. This little bevel, so everything is really as it should be before sanding. Actually, you don't need to sand it if you don't want. So after the pull burr is gone, I might pull it one more time. So what I would do is you have the remnants of the burr on top, so place it nice and flat again and pull that burr back, sort of extension of the top, and back to the bevel. Raise it up a little bit, and one pass, second pass, and I still feel the burr nicely. So let me show you. You can see it works still nice and lovely. So when it's gone, what I like to do is hone the scraper. So I have one of these diamond hones. This one is 1200 grit. You can use a lower grit, doesn't really matter all that much. So I would remove the remnants of the old burr. Again, you can use sandpaper as you saw me before. You can use diamond hone as I have it in my hand like this. So I just do it a few times. I want to get rid of that burr, and then I again find the bevel. You can see it here maybe better, and then I raise it 1 or 2 degrees like this, and I might bump the camera, so I need to adjust a little bit. So find the angle, raise it up a little bit, and just go around the edge. You don't have to do it for a long time, so just a few seconds as you saw, and that will abrade the back, will abrade the burr back on the scraper, and let's see how that works. So this is using a diamond hone. You can see works also really lovely, but it's not grabby as pull burr. And I can shear scrape. So really nicely, as you can see, sanding will take care of any other tool marks or anything like that. So really nice and clean. I forgot to show you the bowl when I take it off the lathe. Now I did mar it a little bit with my fingers here, but hopefully you can see the surface a little bit better, how clean it is straight from the scraper, and here on the bottom as well. So really nice and clean, hardly needs any sanding. So that's using scrapers, how I used the scrapers, my refiner or any other scraper for that matter. Now just before I finish the video, I did promise I'll show you the next signature tool in line. It's actually 2 of them, but first let me tell you, thank you all of you. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for interest in my tools. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Charlotte, for believing in just a little turner from Croatia to give me a shot for making my own tools and everything. and I cannot believe that this moment is finally here. So thank you all. None of this would be possible without you. Now, just before I show you the next signature tools, let me just give you my opinion on what to choose for yourself out of these three options. So if you're somebody that likes to convert scrapers a lot, or have their own sort of shape that you really like to use, then going with the factory edge is probably the best one for you. You still have nicely polished scraper straight out of the package, or polished good enough for anything that we use in wood turning, and you have two nice rounded bottom corners, so you can pretty much convert it to any shape that you desire. So the factory edge is probably the best one for you. So the grinder burr option, as well as using a diamond hone to get the burr on your scraper, is probably the best option for most of us. The most user-friendly option, and also it's a less grabby option, and it will give you a really nice surface straight from the scraper, of course, if you're using it properly. So all the safety aspect of using standard scrapers apply here, no matter which option you go for. And the last option is pull burr, and that one I would recommend to somebody who is already using standard scrapers a lot, knows their safety dynamics and everything. And as you saw, with 2 strokes of burnisher on the edge, getting that pull burr, it's already nice and sharp, and really, it's not super aggressive, but it's aggressive than the grinder burr. And if you do it more than 2 strokes, you can get really, really grabby and pretty much not usable. So I do not recommend that you go more than 2 strokes on the scraper. And you really don't need a lot of force as well, so it's a really nice light feel, light pressure over the edge. So that's my recommendation on this. Hopefully you like that, and let me now show you the next tool in line. So the next signature tools in line will be ball gouges. So these I hope to bring to shop in January. That's the general idea. 12 mil diameter, 16 mil diameter, half inch or 5/8, I believe. So these are the 2 most common sizes I use. Also with the clear ash handle that will go throughout my signature line of tools. And a really important thing to me is M42 steel. So that's my preferred steel for gouges, both spindle and ball gouges. And you already are probably familiar with M42 line from Crown. So really nice tools. And in next video, or probably one of the next videos, I'll cover what I'll offer as an option for these 2 guys here. So you really don't want to miss that one. And again, thank you for watching, thank you for everything, and see you in the next one.